ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session. We will continue on the chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, and we are entering into what we can call third phase of this chapter, which is again very fascinating. Actually, as we started the chapter, we realized that this is the first time that Lord Krishna revealed his true identity. And then he was talking about karma. And we saw that very special slok, which said कि कर्म को अकर्म देखें और अकर्म में कर्म देखें. We understood that, and now he is coming to a very wonderful slok, which is again very fascinating. So we'll start with slok 24 today. जिस यज्ञ में अर्पण अर्थात श्रुवा आदि भी ब्रह्म है और हवन किए जाने योग्य द्रव्य भी ब्रह्म है तथा ब्रह्म रूप कर्ता के द्वारा ब्रह्म रूप अग्नि में आहुति देना रूप क्रिया भी ब्रह्म है, उस ब्रह्म कर्म में स्थित रहने वाले योगी द्वारा प्राप्त किए जाने योग्य फल भी ब्रह्म ही है. ब्रह्मार्पण ब्रह्म हवीर ब्रह्मांड अग्नो ब्रह्मणाहुतम. Now this is a verse which is actually telling us that there is only one single, what we can call, existence in this universe. In modern language, they call it oneness. In particularly in Nordic countries, they have this concept of oneness these days. Now, this is the concept which has been, very well propounded by Lord Krishna long back. He had done it before, but this is a very, very clear concept. Here he is saying that everything is Brahma. आप यज्ञ कर रहे हैं वो भी ब्रह्म है, ब्रह्म में जो आहुति दे रहे हैं वो भी ब्रह्म है, ब्रह्म के अंदर जो लोग आपको ब्रह्म करवा रहे हैं, ब्राह्मण वगैरह, वो भी ब्रह्म है, और जो आप दान दे रहे हैं, जो कुछ क्रिया कर रहे हैं, द प्रोसेस, द रिचुअल कर रहे हैं, वो भी ब्रह्म है, और जो कुछ उससे मिलेगा वो भी ब्रह्म है. Now this is possible only when we realize the oneness of this existence, that whatever is existing in this universe is merely a manifestation of the Almighty. That is why we call Srashta and Srashti. Srashta has expanded himself into Srashti. Now the Srashta is everywhere, whether it is a mountain top, whether it is a river flowing, whether it is a ocean water, whether it is insect on the ground, whether it is fishes and marine life, whether it is animals or the birds flying in the air, or whether the human beings, they are all Brahman. They are all manifestation of Brahman. So whether it is Padarth or whether it is Purush, Padarth is what we can call it inanimate in our sense, but we know there is nothing inanimate. The degree of consciousness differs. So the Padarth is basically, according to our definition, is called inanimate, or we can call it Achal, and the life forms which are Chal, which are moving. So there is no difference between the two. They all come from the same single entity. Now to understand this is very clear. Let me give this example once again. We have a human body. Now in this body we take all the inanimate food. We take bread, we take juice, we take milk, we take dal, we take vegetables, they're all inanimate in the sense of our definition. And as soon as we get in those things get into our body, they become animate, they become part of our body. If we cut our stomach, it will be very painful process. We feel the pain. But if you cut the bread, you don't feel the pain. So as soon as inanimate goes into animate, it becomes animate. And then inanimate comes out of animate. We have hair, we have nails, which we have skin, which comes out of our body, becomes inanimate. So there is a journey of animate to inanimate and inanimate to animate. So there's no difference between the two in the real Vedic sense. It's a process, keep changing, animate becomes inanimate becomes animate. In the same way, everything which is used in the process of yajna, whatever you are using, the process as well as the items and the persons who are performing, they are all part of the Brahman. And that is why he says कि everything which you are doing there is reflection of the Brahman. And therefore, it is inevitable that the outcome which will come out of it will only be the Brahman. So this is a very fascinating verse. When I read it first time ever, I didn't understand it at all. I thought it was, flying over my head. But slowly, when I understood this verse, I realized that this verse tells us about oneness or entire existence. Animate, inanimate, char, achar, whatever you call it. It is one single entity. It is Srasta, it is Srasti, which is reflection of Srasta. So this is what we have to understand from verse number 24. And that is what he is explaining. He is telling that whole universe is one single entity, and therefore you remain established in the Brahma, and whatever you get out of it is also Brahma. Now, verse number 25, 26, 27, they are further expansion of this basic principle here. दूसरे योगी जन देवताओं के पूजन रूप यज्ञ का ही भली भांति अनुष्ठान किया करते हैं, और अन्य योगी जन परब्रह्म परमात्मा रूप अग्नि में अभेद दर्शन रूप यज्ञ के द्वारा ही आत्म रूप यज्ञ का हवन किया करते हैं. Now he is giving variations which are in existence in this world in different form. दूसरे योगी जन, some yogis are doing this yajna in a feeling that whatever they are putting is also Brahm, whatever process is being done is also Brahm, whatever donation they are giving is also Brahm, whatever is coming out of it is Brahm. But there are some people, they believe that they are doing worship of Devtas. As I explained before, Devtas are not Brahma, but they are different powers of the Brahma. They are like cabinet ministers in a cabinet. So we have Devtas like sun, like moon, like air, these are Agni, these are all Devtas. So some people, they do the worship of these different Devtas with a purpose. Like some people do worship of Lakshmi in order to get wealth. Some people worship Saraswati in order to get wisdom. Some people worship, sun to get light and enlightenment. So it is all depend upon the individual, belief, and that is what he's saying, that some of the people, they worship different devtas, or unke prati they do worship, they do anustan kiya karte hain. Anustan basically are two things. Anustan is, one is sankalp, that you do, that you have faith in that particular devta, and secondly, you, as your part of your faith, you do a donation or you do a dakshina there, and that is what is called anustan. अन्य योगी जन परब्रह्म परमात्मा रूप अग्नि में अभेद दर्शन रूप यज्ञ के द्वारा आत्म रूप यज्ञ का हवन किया करते हैं. नाउ दिस इज ए वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स लैंग्वेज हियर. परमात्मा रूप अग्नि में, परमात्मा रूप अग्नि क्यों बताया? व्हाई इट हैज बीन सेड परमात्मा रूप अग्नि मीन्स, you know, one of the Mahavakya says that Prajnanam Brahma, the knowledge is Brahma. That is one of the 4 Mahavakyas in Vedas. That Prajnanam Brahma means the knowledge is also Brahma. And knowledge is reflected in the symbolic way by Agni. Agni is because firstly it gives you light, secondly it gives you heat, thirdly it is urdhgami, it always goes upwards. Agni will never go downwards. Whenever you light Agni, it will go upwards. So it is going urdhgami, it gives you light, it gives you heat, and also whatever you put Agni, it purifies it. It's completely purifier. So because of these qualities of Agni, here Paramatma Roop Agni mein, isko ek, that is the symbolism which has been shown here, and that is why the Paramatma Roop Agni has been told. And those people who are, surrendering themselves, their own self in that fire, that is another version. So some people are doing worship of the Devtas. Some people are surrendering themselves to the Almighty, and what you call, by surrendering themselves, they do that yajna. Because we already saw, Lord Krishna said earlier that you can convert your karma into yajna. So here this person is saying that you can convert your karma into yajna by surrendering it to the Almighty. And then it goes into that Agni, which purifies everything and takes with it. Now, here I will also like to specify why do we use fire as a symbol in so many rituals in Hinduism. I told you the 3 profound reasons is, one is that it gives you light, it gives you heat, it is urdhgami, it goes upwards, and it purifies. These are the 4 reasons. But there are other reasons also. Why do we use Agni all the time? We use Agni because whatever you put in Agni, there are certain things which you cannot transmit to the Almighty. Almighty is non-manifest. He is smaller than the Akash which we have. You have this Akash here. This Akash, you cannot make it wet. You cannot cut it with weapons. In this Akash, you cannot burn it with fire. And the Almighty is even smaller, even suksham than this Akash. Akash has come from there. So to reach that very, minuscule or atomic, manifest of the Almighty, जो बिल्कुल अप्रत्यक्ष है, उसको पहुंचने के लिए there is only one way, that is you put something in the fire and from the fire it reaches to the apratyaks. And this is the reason that we use fire in all the rituals. Whatever we are putting, whether हवन की सामग्री डाल रहे हैं, चाहे घी डाल रहे हैं, चाहे anything else we are putting there, it is all because we want it to reach the respective devta or the Almighty, because that is in a very what you call suksham se bhi suksham roop mein. In order to reach there, that's the only way to reach. There's nothing else can reach. The water cannot reach there, air cannot reach there. Only the rage of the fire can reach there. And with the rage of the fire, the food which you are giving, in श्रद्धा के रूप में आप अर्पण कर रहे हैं परमात्मा को, उसको पहुंचाने का तरीका यही है. And that is another reason why we use fire in most of the rituals we do, including wedding ceremony, a new house ceremony, or Jan birth ceremony. Whatever ceremony we do, we sit around the fire, we take a oath around the fire, and then we start the process. So this is how the fire has been compared here with the fire of Paramatma, the knowledge of Paramatma. It is the most profound example. And in fact, the modern science is somehow reaching there. They also say that the energy is the only thing which runs this universe. Even the sound converts into energy. And energy is the one which actually is the only element in this universe. So slowly, slowly, things are moving in that direction. Now let's move to verse number 26. अन्य योगी जन श्रोत्र आदि समस्त इंद्रियों को संयम रूप से अग्नियों में हवन किया करते हैं और दूसरे योगी लोग शब्दादि समस्त विषयों को इंद्रिय रूप अग्नियों में हवन किया करते हैं. Now, these verses are very fascinating. How we can convert our action, our life into yajna. The first one is that you do in the ritual form, presuming that everything is the Brahma, and then you get Brahma out of it. In the second, you consider the Almighty as, the Agni as the representative of Almighty, and you do your samarpan there, or you do your, what you call havan there. And then here he's saying that you can do another way. Another way is that आप अपनी इंद्रियों में, इंद्रियां is also fire in a way, because the indriyas are run because of the energy which comes out of each sense. For example, there's an energy of hearing in the ears. There's energy of smell in our nose. There's energy of sight here in the eyes. So each of the, what you call, Gyanendriya, the senses of perception, they actually each in a way representation of the same fire. And by not controlling but by managing them, the word which has been used here is Sanyam. Sanyamagnisu Jyoti. If you see the Sanskrit words, it's Sanyamagnisu. Sanyam ke agni mein unko dalo. That you manage them beautifully. Unko keep them in a moderation. Keep them in check. So if we are able to control our senses in that sense, that they are behaving as per our desire, as we want, we direct them, then we are doing yajna also. That's another form of yajna. If we are able to convert our five senses of perception into our obedient soldiers, that whatever we want them, they do. We don't want them, they don't do. They should not get out of our control. Then again, you are doing yajna. That is another form of yajna. One is the ritual. Second is the comparison with fire, where you acquire knowledge by integrating yourself with the Almighty. And third is by regulating your sense organs in such a way that they behave as you want them to behave. So this is the third way of yajna. Then another one. दूसरे योगीजन इंद्रियों की संपूर्ण क्रियाओं को और प्राणों की संपूर्ण क्रियाओं को ज्ञान से प्रकाशित आत्म संयम योग रूप अग्नि में हवन करते हैं. I hope I am clear, because these are four different dimensions of yajna. 24, 25, 26 and 27. They actually are leading to the same thing. But these are four different variations of yajna we can do. In verse number 26, we can do yajna by regulating the activities of our senses. in such a way that they are our obedient soldiers. And here he is saying that you do the activities by the senses, that is karmendriya, because Gyanendriya don't do the activities, they only perceive things. They give you the input. Then the mind decides and then output is done by कर्मेंद्रियां. So here दूसरे योगीजन इंद्रियों की संपूर्ण क्रियाओं को मीन्स जो कर्मेंद्रियां जो क्रियाएं करती हैं उन क्रियाओं को अगर आप रेगुलेट कर लें, if you are able to regulate the activities of your what you speak, what gesture you do, where you walk, how you walk, and then the activities of course of your discharge of your what we call kamna, that is sexual desire. So all these activities are done by karmendriya. If we are able to regulate them, then again we are performing yajna. That's another way of looking at yajna. उसको कैसे करेंगे? You have to regulate your activities by प्रकाशित आत्म संयम योग रूप अग्नि में. Now here again that you have to acquire proper knowledge, and through that knowledge, that is like fire, your inner self is purified, and with that purified self you are able to regulate your actions. So that is another way of doing yajna. Now we can choose anyone we want. We can choose whatever we want. In fact, the last two are very practical ones, that you can regulate your senses of perception and regulate your senses of action, and then you are in the same field or same level as the person who is doing yajna as per verse number 24. Then 28. कई पुरुष द्रव्य संबंधी यज्ञ करने वाले हैं, कितने ही तपस्या रूप यज्ञ करने वाले हैं, और दूसरे कितने ही योग रूप यज्ञ करने वाले हैं, और कितने ही अहिंसादि तीक्ष्ण व्रतों से युक्त यत्नशील पुरुष स्वाध्याय रूप ज्ञान यज्ञ करने वाले हैं. अब देखिए, these are so many variations of यज्ञ. And all these are यज्ञ. कुछ पुरुष द्रव्य रूप संबंधी यज्ञ करने वाले हैं. द्रव्य रूप means that you are able to donate, whatever prosperity, whatever wealth you have, you are able to donate that. Then tapasya roop. Tapasya is considered a sort of penance. It's passing through a very harsh life. Like some people say, I will remain without food for 60 days. That is tapasya. Somebody says, I want to remain without water for 20 days. That is tapasya. Somebody says, I'll stand on one leg and I'll say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna all the time on one leg. Now, tapasya has been given a variety of forms. There could be any other forms. If you see some of the old scriptures, you'll find that rishis tell a particular person that if you do this kind of tapasya, then Lord Shiva will give you a boon, or Brahma will give you a boon. So do this exercise for 1 year and you will get a boon. So that is tapasya. Tapasya is basically to शरीर और मन को संयम में रख के उसको दुख देना, उसको एक ऐसी अवस्था से, दुख देना तो कहना ठीक नहीं होगा, उसको एक ऐसी अवस्था से निकालें कि आम आदमी उसमें नहीं जा सकता. That you are passing through a very harsh life, very, very difficult circumstances. And that means that you are showing a resolve that you want to attain that particular objective. So it is a combination of resolve and tolerating the harshness of life. The two things together. That is called tapasya. So some people do that yajna. They perform tapasya. दूसरे कितने ही योग रूप यज्ञ करने वाले, योग रूप यज्ञ. नाउ योग रूप वी ऑलरेडी अंडरस्टूड. योग बेसिकली इज दैट परमात्मा में युक्त होना, that you can do either through knowledge or through karma or through bhakti. These are the three principal paths of that. So you are able to what you call surrender yourself to the Almighty, and you become one with Him in either way. Either through karma, you remove yourself from the karta, that I am not the doer, everything is being done by Him, or through knowledge, that is the Sankhya, and that you believe that everything is in this universe is the manifestation of the Almighty, and you are eternal. Your uh, consciousness is eternal. It is not subject to destruction. It is. It does not die. It does not, decay. It has no relevance with time. Time is not able to impact it. It's eternal. It's all the time. So these are various facets of yoga which have been. So you can do any of these things. That's what Krishna is saying here. And कितने ही अहिंसादी तीक्ष्ण व्रतों से, अहिंसादी, for example, Jainism or Mahavir. Mahavir went to a great extent to preach ahimsa, that you even walk, barefoot. You don't even change your, side in the night, because that means you might kill some insects in the night. Or you don't eat in the evening when there's darkness, because you might end up killing some insects. So all these things are part of yajna. You can do yajna in any one of these forms. You can choose. He is giving examples, and these are examples which are actually visible in this world. You can see people doing all these different activities. Uh, in our daily life, we see people doing these activities. So these are based on the realities which were existing that time and which are also existing today. And then he is describing from verse number 24 to 28 the different forms in which we can perform yajna. So we can choose whatever we like. We have the option. He's just telling us, choose whatever is suitable for your body, for your system. Now, the next verse is again very, good. It's not easy to understand. बहुत good है. कितने ही दूसरे कितने ही योगी जन अपान वायु में प्राण वायु को हवन करते हैं, वैसे ही अन्य योगी जन प्राण वायु में अपान वायु को हवन करते हैं. और अन्य कितने ही नियमित आहार करने वाले प्राणायाम परायण पुरुष प्राण और अपान की गति को रोककर प्राणों को ही प्राणों में हवन किया करते हैं. ये सभी साधक यज्ञों द्वारा पापों का नाश कर देने वाले और यज्ञों को जानने वाले हैं. नाउ दिस इज अनदर facet of yajna, pran or apan. The pran vayu has 5 forms. The mukhya pran is the breathing system, in and out. So we breathe in, that is the main pran, and then we breathe out. That's part of the main pran, but it is regulated by 2 pranas inside. It's called saman and apan. Now, saman pran is the one with which the air goes inside, and all the food, water which you drink, which goes inside, and it is converted into what we call our body parts, whether it is blood or flesh or bones or skin or whatever. It is converted with the help of saman pran. And with the help of apan, you throw out the waste. Waste is going out with that. So he is saying that there are people who are, I have not seen them, but I have heard from the people who have seen them. They told me that there are certain people who sit in Himalayas, and I have met one of those guys in Himalayas. It was almost minus 35-degree temperature when I went to Mansarovar. And I saw that guy was in Langoti at that temperature. How can he live in that langoti? It's inconceivable for me. But he did it because he was able to manage his pran and apan. So this is a technique which is not very much prevalent today, but there are some people who follow it. That you are able to regulate your pranic energy, the incoming prana and outgoing prana, in such a way that it does not impact on your body. Such people do not have thirst, such people do not have hunger, they do not age. If you are able to control your pranic energy in a way which brings it at par, then your hunger, your thirst, and your discharge of waste and your aging process stops. This is a miraculous thing which can happen. So this is what he is mentioning. In those days, I'm sure there must have been many people who were doing this, but in today's era, there's hardly any person who exists who can do this. But this is a practice which was done that time, and then Krishna says that these are so many variations of yajna which are done to destroy pap and to uh, you know achieve enlightenment or moksha or whatever name we call it. So this is how he has described different variations of yajna, and I would like to repeat them once again because they are very fascinating, and we can adopt any one of those forms. So the first form is that you do a proper yajna havan, which we call it, but do while thinking that everything around there is coming from oneness. This is reflection of the Almighty. There is one single entity which is there everywhere. So that is one. Secondly, you can do understand to the devtas, but that is limited in the sense that that will not transcend you to the from the cycle of birth and death, but that will uh, enable you to attain what you want to attain, like you do for Lakshmi or Saraswati or Sun or Sunny or whatever devta you choose. You can do that. Then of course you can opposite to that you can do oneness with the Almighty in the form of fire, that is knowledge, complete knowledge, and then you purify yourself. Then you can do by regulating your senses of perception, and then you can do by regulating your senses of action, and then of course you can do tap, you can do donation, and you can do ahimsa. So all these forms are available, and then of course you can do, which is the most difficult one, by regulating the pran and apan, the process of inhalation and exhalation. If you are able to regulate that process, then you can transcend the normal thirst and hunger and aging process completely. And I have met one person who told me, actually, he was accompanied by a British lady. And that lady told me that he met that guy, he was a yogi from Himalaya, that he met that guy 40 years ago, and he was exactly of the same appearance as he was that day when he came to see me. It was in Budapest. And I was stunned. That after 40 years he's looking exactly the same. And this lady told me that if you meet him after 40 years again, you will find him in the same. So these are the kind of people who are able to regulate their apan and pran vayu, and by regulating that, they can get rid of their hunger and thirst, and the discharge of waste stops, and the aging process stops completely. So this is not an easy thing which we can do. I think this is a process which requires tremendous training under a trained teacher, and there are very few teachers available today. In Himalayas, there may be a few of them who can manage this. Like the guy I met once at -35, he was with his langoti and he was feeling absolutely normal. So that is possible by regulating this. So these are variety of yagyas which we can perform to overcome पाप, पापों का नाश करने के लिए. We understood the word pap and punya last time, that if we are still trying to attain happiness through the objects in the outside world, then we are still in the category of pap. Punya is the one when you have stopped looking for happiness in the outside objects. When you are looking into your own self for happiness, that is the state of punya. But so long as you are looking outside for happiness, then we are in the state of pap. So pap and punya is not in the sense of cruelty and goodness. The real meaning of pap and punya is looking for happiness outside in the worldly objects and looking for happiness inside your own self. So that is the real distinction in the original way of pap and punya. But today it is understood or misunderstood as cruelty and goodness, which is not the original meaning of these words. And here certainly this is not the meaning. Here the meaning is looking for happiness outside in the object, that is pap, and looking for happiness within your own self, that is punya. So I think we'll stop here, verse number 30. These are, very profound verses. For me, it took several years to understand them fully. And I'm sure these are different forms of yajna. That is why the word yajna in Sanskrit is a very profound word. Everything is regulated by yajna in this universe. For example, we procreate, the union of man and woman, and then you create, that union is yajna, and then you create new life. That is the outcome, that is the srishti you are creating through yajna. Now, sun runs the water cycle. It takes the water out from the oceans up in the sky, converts that into clouds. Then the air moves them, and then again there is a condensation process. The temperature comes down, and it falls down again, and the water flows into the rivers and the lakes and different mountains and all those places. And again the cycle continues. Now that is yajna. That is yajna done with the forces, natural forces which are operational in this world. A tree, you put a seed inside the earth and you water it, you provide fertilizer, and with the air, all those air, water, sunlight, all these help in that yajna, and the yajna leads to fructification of a plant, and then the plant converts into a tree, and then the tree again gives birth to fruits, and the fruits have the seeds, so the whole process restarts. So all that is yajna again. So every cycle in this universe is regulated by yajna, and that yajna is regulated by the Almighty because He has created these cycles everywhere. And why He has done it? Because it is a self-regulating process of the nature. He doesn't need to intervene anywhere. Everything regulates on its own because He has created these yajnas everywhere. Even if the winds come, how the winds are regulated on their own. At the same time, the monsoon comes in India. Why? If it is late by even 10 days, there's so much problem because there's a yajna there. There are cycle of natural forces which are operating. So all these cycles are actually reflection of yajna for the smooth functioning of this universe. And we are a small minuscule in that process of yajna. We are also contributing to that yajna. And we can use any one of those things to contribute to the yajna. Even our karma, as he explained before, we can convert our karma into yajna, or we can do one of those formats which have been explained from verse 24 to 30th. So I think let us do yajna in our life. Let's resolve what kind of yajna is suitable for us, and then we do that yajna and move forward and contribute, to the smooth running of this universe. So thank you very much. If you have any queries, I will try my best to answer, and then we move to the second page.